Wendy had Michael at her feet and 7 boys in the bed.
There was once a gentleman.
I had rather he'd been a lady.
Quiet.
She'd been a white rat.
Quiet. There was a lady also, and...
Oh, Mummy, you mean there is a lady also, don't you? She's not dead, is she?
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm awfully glad she isn't dead. Are you glad, John?
Of course I am.
Are you glad, Nibs?
Rather.
Little less noise there.
Peter was determined that she should have fair play, however beastly a story it might be, in his opinion.
The gentleman's name was Mr. Darling, and her name was Mrs. Darling.
I knew them.
John was trying to annoy the others.
I think I knew them.
They were married, you know. And what do you think they had?
White rats?
No.
Oh, it's awfully puzzling.
Tootles knew the story by heart.
Quiet, Tootles. They had 3 descendants.
What is descendants?
Well, you are one, Nibs.
Did you hear that, John? I'm a descendant.
Descendants are only children.
Yeah. Now, these 3 children had a faithful nurse called Nana, but Mr. Darling was angry with her and chained her up in the yard, and so all the children flew away.
It's an awfully good story.
They flew away to the Neverland, where the lost children are.
I just thought they did. I didn't know how it is, but I just thought they did.
Oh, Wendy, was one of the lost children called Tootles?
Yes, he was.
I'm in a story, hurrah! I'm in a story, Nibs.
Hush! Now, I want you to consider the feelings of the unhappy parents with all their children flown away.
Oh.
The lost boys moaned. They were not really considering the feelings of the unhappy parents one jot.
Think of the empty beds.
Oh.
It's awfully sad.
I don't see how it can have a happy ending. Do you, Nibs?
I'm frightfully anxious.
If you knew how great is a mother's love, you would have no fear.
She had now come to the part that Peter hated.
I do like a mother's love.
Tootles started hitting Nibs with a pillow.
Oh,
Do you like a mother's love, Nibs?
I do just.
Nibs started hitting back.
You see, our heroine knew that the mother would always leave the window open for her children to fly back, so they stayed away for years and had a lovely time.
Did they ever go back?
Or let us now take a peep into the future. Years have rolled by, and who is this elegant lady of uncertain age alighting at London Station?
Oh, Wendy, who is she?
Nibs was every bit as excited as if he didn't know.
Can it be? Yes. No. It is the fair Wendy.
Oh.
And who are the 2 noble, portly figures accompanying her, now grown to man's estate? Can they be John and Michael? They are.
Oh.
See, dear brothers, there is the window still standing open. Oh, now we are rewarded for our sublime faith in a mother's love. So up they flew to their mummy and daddy, and pen cannot describe the happy scene over which we shall draw a veil.
That was the story, and they were as pleased with it as the fair narrator herself.
Everything just as it should be, you see.
So great indeed was their faith in the mother's love that they felt they could afford to be callous for a bit longer.
But there was one there who knew better.
And when Wendy finished, he uttered a hollow groan.
Oh.
What is it, Peter? Where is the pain, Peter?
It isn't that kind of pain.
Then what kind is it?
Wendy, you are wrong about mothers. Long ago, I thought like you that my mother would always keep the window open for me, so I stayed away for moons and moons and moons, and then flew back. But the window was barred, for mother had forgotten all about me, and there was another little boy sleeping in my bed.
I'm not sure that this was true.
But Peter thought it was true.
And it scared them. for the horrible thought had come to Wendy that perhaps her mother was in half mourning by this time.
This dread made her forgetful of what must have been Peter's feelings, and she said to him rather sharply,
Peter, will you make the necessary arrangements?
If you wish it.
Not so much as a sorry to lose you between them.
if she did not mind the partying, he was going to show her, was Peter, that neither did he.
But of course he cared very much.
Panic-stricken at the thought of losing Wendy, the lost boys advanced upon her, threateningly.
It will be worse than before she came.
We shan't let her go.
Let's keep her prisoner. Aye, chain her up.
In her extremity, an instinct told her to which of them to turn.
Tootles, I appeal to you.
Was it not strange?
She appealed to Tootles.
Quite the silliest one.
Grandly, however, did Tootles respond.
For that one moment, he dropped his silliness and spoke with dignity.
I am just Tootles, and no one minds me. But the first who does not behave to Wendy like an English gentleman, I will blood him severely.
Peter returned, and they saw at once that they would get no support from him.
He would keep no girl in the Neverland against her will.
Wendy, I've asked Tiger Lily to guide you through the wood, as flying tires you so.
Thank you, Peter.
Then Tinkerbell will take you across the sea. Wake her, Nibs!
Nibs had to knock twice before he got an answer, though Tink had really been sitting up in bed listening for some time.
You are to get up, Tink, and take Wendy on a journey.
Of course, Tink had been delighted to hear that Wendy was going.
But she was jolly well determined not to be her courier.
And she said so in still more offensive language.
She says she won't go.
Peter went sternly towards the young lady's chamber.
Tink, if you don't get up and dress at once, I will open the curtains and then we shall all see you in your nightgown.
This made her leap to the floor.
Dear ones, if you'll all come with me, I feel almost sure I can get my father and mother to adopt you.
The invitation was meant specially for Peter.
But each of the boys was thinking exclusively of himself, and at once they jumped with joy.
But won't they think us rather a handful?
Oh, no. It will only mean having a few beds in the drawing room. They can be hidden behind the screens on first Thursdays.
Peter, can we go?
They took it for granted that if they went, he would go also. But really, they scarcely cared.
Thus children are ever ready, when novelty knocks, to desert their dearest ones.
All right.
And now, Peter, I'm going to give you your medicine before you go.
On this occasion, however, she did not give Peter his, for just as she had prepared it,
she saw a look on his face that made her heart sink.
Get your things, Peter.
No, I'm not going with you, Wendy.
Yes, Peter.
No.
And so the others had to be told.
Peter isn't coming.
If you find your mothers, I hope you will like them.
The awful cynicism of this made an uncomfortable impression.
And most of them began to look rather doubtful.
After all,
their faces said,
were they not noodles to want to go?
Now then, no fuss, no blubbering. Goodbye, Wendy.
He held out his hand cheerily, quite as if they must really go now, for he had something important to do.
She had to take his hand.
And there was no indication that he would prefer a thimble.
It was at this moment that the pirates made their dreadful attack upon Tiger Lily.
Above,
where all had been so still,
the air was rent with shrieks and the clash of steel.
Below,
there was dead silence.
Mouths opened and remained open.
Wendy fell onto her knees, but her arms were extended toward Peter.
As for Peter,
He seized his sword, the same he thought he'd slain Barbecue with.
And the lust of battle was in his eye.